The Helios array stretched across 3 astronomical units of space, a lattice of quantum-entangled mirrors and gravitational lenses that humanity had spent 2 centuries perfecting. Dr. Jennifer Callas stood in the observation deck of Station Prometheus, watching the readouts cascade across holographic displays that floated in the vacuum-sealed chamber. Each number represented an incomprehensible amount of energy, enough to power Earth's entire civilization for millennia, all drawn from the controlled fusion reactions they had learned to manipulate within the heart of stars. "We're at 93% efficiency," Kevin reported from his station, his fingers dancing through haptic interfaces that controlled systems light years away. He was younger than Jennifer by a decade, but his understanding of stellar mechanics rivaled anyone in the solar system. "The chromospheric taps are holding steady." Jennifer nodded, her eyes never leaving the primary display. They weren't just observing a star anymore, they were conducting it, like a maestro with an orchestra of nuclear fusion. The technology had emerged from desperation. Earth's sun was dying faster than natural stellar evolution predicted, a consequence of dark matter accumulation that scientists had only detected when it was nearly too late. Humanity had faced a choice: flee or fight. They chose to rewrite the laws they once thought immutable. "Initiate the helium flash suppression sequence," Jennifer commanded, her voice steady despite the magnitude of what they were attempting. "We need to buy ourselves another 10,000 years." Kevin's hands hesitated for just a moment. "Jennifer, if we miscalculate the magnetic containment—" "We won't," she interrupted, though her own heart hammered against her ribs. "We've run this simulation 4,000 times. The quantum computers have verified every variable." But simulations were sterile things, divorced from the raw chaos of stellar physics. What they were about to do had never been attempted on a main sequence star still in its active phase. They were going to reach into the sun's core and rearrange the fusion cycle itself, converting helium back into hydrogen through a carefully orchestrated series of quantum tunneling events, effectively revering billions of years of stellar aging. The Helios array began to hum, not a sound exactly, since sound couldn't travel through space, but a vibration that Jennifer felt through the station's superstructure, transmitted through electromagnetic resonance. Across 3 astronomical units, mirrors the size of small moons tilted in perfect synchronization, focusing exotic particles that existed only in the theoretical frameworks of physics until humanity had learned to manufacture them. Kevin watched his instruments with the intensity of a surgeon performing a delicate operation. Neutrino flux is spiking. The core is responding. Deep within the sun, 93 million miles away, protons were being forced into new configurations. The star's natural fusion reactions were being overridden by human engineering, a feat that would have seemed like the purest hubris just 3 centuries earlier. But humanity had learned that the universe didn't care about hubris. It cared only about mathematics and energy, and humans had finally mastered both. "Temperature in the radiative zone is dropping by 0.03%, Jennifer read from her display. "That's within acceptable parameters. Continue." The process would take weeks to complete, but already they could see the effects rippling outward through the solar plasma. The sun was responding to their touch, its fusion rates adjusting to the new quantum boundary conditions they were imposing. It was working. Then the alarm screamed. "Gravitational anomaly," Kevin shouted, his composure finally cracking. "Something's pulling at the containment field, massive spacetime distortion, origin point inside the sun's core." Jennifer's mind raced through possibilities. Dark matter accumulation, a microscopic black hole, or something they hadn't predicted, some consequence of their manipulation that the simulations had missed. "Show me," she demanded. The holographic display reconfigured, showing them a cross-section of the sun's interior. There in the core, a point of impossible density was forming, not a singularity, but something equally strange. The exotic particles they'd been using to manipulate the fusion cycle were interacting with the sun's magnetic field in an unexpected way, creating a self-sustaining quantum loop. "It's a temporal anchor," Kevin breathed, his eyes widening as he recognized the signature. "We've created a closed, time-like curve inside the sun." Jennifer felt the blood drain from her face. A temporal anchor meant causality was breaking down in that region of spacetime. Past and future were becoming entangled, creating a paradox that could propagate outward. If it reached the sun's surface, the consequences would be catastrophic, not just for the sun, but for the fabric of spacetime itself throughout the solar system. "Can we collapse it?" she asked. Kevin was already working, his fingers flying through calculations. "If we reverse the quantum tunneling field and create a destructive interference pattern, yes, maybe. But we'd have to shut down the entire array simultaneously, and the timing has to be perfect to within a nanosecond." "Do it." They worked in frantic silence, reconfiguring systems that were never meant to be shut down so abruptly. The Helios array was designed to operate continuously, its components synchronized across vast distances through quantum entanglement. Shutting it down all at once was like trying to stop a planet from rotating. The momentum alone could tear the entire structure apart. 30 seconds to shut down," Kevin announced. 29, 28. Jennifer watched the temporal anchor growing, its influence spreading through the sun's core like a cancer. If they failed, the sun wouldn't just die, it would unmake itself, retroactively erasing its own existence from the timeline. Earth would find itself orbiting empty space, the star it had depended on for billions of years simply gone, as if it had never been. 10 seconds. The station shuddered as the array began its shutdown sequence. Across 3 astronomical units, mirrors started to fold, particle beams winked out of existence, and quantum fields collapsed back into normal spacetime. 5, 4, 3. Jennifer held her breath. 2, 1, shutdown. The displays went dark. For a moment, there was only silence and the faint starlight filtering through the observation windows. Then, slowly, the instruments began to reboot, their sensors reaching out to examine what they had done. The sun blazed on, stable and unchanged. The temporal anchor had collapsed when they cut power to the array, the quantum loop unable to sustain itself without external energy. They had stopped it in time. But the data told a different story than Jennifer expected. Kevin pulled up the spectroscopic analysis, his expression shifting from relief to wonder. "Jennifer, look at this. The helium flash suppression. It worked. Before the shutdown, in those few minutes we had the array operating, we actually managed to reverse age the sun by approximately 12,000 years." She leaned closer to the display, hardly daring to believe it. The readings were clear. The sun's core temperature, its hydrogen-to-helium ratio, the distribution of heavy elements, all of them indicated a star that was measurably younger than it had been an hour ago. "We did it," she whispered. Kevin nodded slowly, but his expression remained troubled. "We did, but we also nearly destroyed causality itself. The universe isn't meant to be manipulated like this, Jennifer. Every action we take at this scale has consequences we can't fully predict." Jennifer looked out at the sun, that familiar golden disk that had warmed humanity since before they were human. They had reached inside it and changed it, proved that even stars were not beyond their control. But Kevin was right. They had also glimpsed something terrifying in the process. "Then we learn," she said finally. "We study what happened, we improve our models, and we become better at this. Because the alternative is to give up, to accept that we can't save ourselves. And if we make another mistake, a worse one." Jennifer turned to face him, her expression grave but determined. "Then we'll fix that too. That's what humans do, Kevin. We break things and we fix them and we keep pushing forward. 300 years ago we couldn't leave Earth. 200 years ago we couldn't survive in deep space. Today we can manipulate stars. Tomorrow, she paused, gesturing at the endless expanse of the galaxy beyond their window. Tomorrow, who knows what we'll be capable of? Kevin followed her gaze to the stars scattered across the darkness, thousands of them visible even against the sun's glare. Each one a potential tool, a potential home, a potential challenge for humanity to overcome. Everything changed, he said quietly, echoing the words that had become humanity's unofficial motto since the Helios array went online. Everything changed, Jennifer agreed. And it will keep changing. We're not at the mercy of the universe anymore. For better or worse, we're its gardeners now. She initiated the protocols to begin the array's restart sequence. They had work to do, safety systems to redesign, new simulations to run. The sun wouldn't wait forever, and neither would the countless other challenges that awaited humanity among the stars. Outside, the sun burned on, ignorant and uncaring that the tiny beings orbiting it had learned to hold its heart in their hands. But someday, Jennifer thought, even the universe itself would have to acknowledge what humans had become, a species that looked at impossibility and saw only another problem to solve. The end.